Hello everybody, my name is Mark, and welcome to this chess video. This is a game of chess that I played on chess.com on the internet online, and this is a 3-minute game chess. The time control was 3 minutes. It is a game of blitz, and in this game I was the black pieces and my opponent was the white pieces. So without further ado, let's get going and let's get started. So white played e4 and I played e5, and white plays knight to c3, which is a very positional move. If white were to play this is more of a tactical move because it's attacking this pawn, but this is more of a defensive move because it's defending this pawn, so it's known as a positional move. And the name of this move is, it's an opening, it's called the Vienna Opening. And I've always felt that if you're going to play positional chess, you might as well start out with d4 or maybe c4 or knight f3. But if you're going to play e4, you might as well go for the gusto and play knight f3, because e4 opens the door for the bishop and opens the door for the queen, and so there's all sorts of pieces that can come out. So you might as well play knight f3, or maybe even this move, which is a very tactical move called the King's Gambit. But my opponent played knight c3 and I played knight f6 because I happen to know it's the book move and it's the best move in the position. And so white plays pawn to f4, and that's a tactical move. But again, I don't see why he played knight c3, but it is a legit opening, and so there are lots of high-level players that play this opening, and so I play the book move. I do know this opening a little bit, and so white takes, and then I take the pawn, and then white brings out the knight, and then I go here, right, because I'm making a threat of moving the bishop there, or even coming here with the knight with a fork. And so my opponent stops that, plays pawn to d4, and I play bishop to b4, and the threat is I take, and then he takes back, and then I come here checking the king and also threatening the rook, and he would have to guard like that, and then I would get his rook, and so he would get my bishop and I would be up in exchange. A rook is generally better than a bishop. So he puts a stop to that, and now he's got a threat. He can just take the knight, and this is my own move. This is my own invention. I don't know of this move that's in the databases or in the books. I haven't run this move through a chess computer or an engine, but that's the move. And so I like this move, and you'll see what happens here. So he takes, and I was very happy that he took. This is the first time to my memory that anybody's actually ever taken the knight, because the trick is this, right? I take with the pawn, and if he moves the knight out of the way, then I get to take his queen, right? So he gets my bishop, and then I get his knight, and then he takes back, and then this move is known as an intermediate move. Okay, my bishop is under threat, so I have to move my bishop, but I have another move I can make first, and it's this move. So the rule in chess is you have to get out of check, and so he has no choice but to move his king. So he moves his king there, and now I move my bishop there. And the reason why I move it there instead of, let's say, here or here is because his pawn is pinned. He can't move his pawn because it's pinned to his king, and I get his king, or his king would be in check, and also his queen is even behind there. So that's why I stick the bishop there. And so he moves his bishop there to try to get his bishop in the game and maybe create some area for his king to get out the way. And I bring my knight out. One of the rules in chess is when you're playing in the opening that you should try to bring pieces out every move of the game. And the opening, you're still in the opening until you've moved all your pieces, your king's castled, and your rooks are connected. So we're still kind of in the opening, even though this is kind of a wacky position. So I bring my knight out, and he moves his bishop, right? Because if he didn't move his bishop, my knight could take it, and so he's moving his bishop there, hopefully to maybe get a line on the weak pawn. And so I castle this way. I could have castled this way, but why would I go that way, which is where his bishop's aiming, and he also, like, if the bishop's not there, his rook can gang up on me there. So I'm going to go the other way, and it also adds pressure on this D pawn right there, and I could take with a knight, with the rook, and with the queen, and his queen is behind all of that, so it's getting kind of dangerous for white. So he goes there, and this I think is a mistake, and if you can think of a good move, pause the video and see if you can find this move. Okay, did you pause the video? Well, this was my move. Took his knight, and he thinks he's going to win a piece, but I stick my rook there, and his bishop can't move anywhere because his king is under fire. Okay, so my opponent just moves out of the way, which is a fair move. Try to get out of that, and so I take it before the bishop has a chance to get away. Now the queen comes up here, and you'll see why the queen, why he moved his queen there in a minute. And so I take here, and I have a great position right here, by the way, guys. I have both rooks in the center of the board. I basically own the entire center of the board. Both the E file and the F file are dominated by my rooks. I mean, this is just a great position, but the reason why he moved his queen there is he wants to get rid of my queen, and I cannot say I blame him wanting to trade down. I mean, the material is kind of even. I'm up one pawn, but I have so much attack that it would be in his best interest to trade off pieces if he can. So obviously I don't want to trade, so I come over here and put him in check, and he really only has one good move. I mean, and that's to move his king. I mean, the only other thing he could do is go there, but that would be instant death because I just take the queen, because I have a rook there and a queen there. So his only semi-good move, if you want to call it that, is to move there. And so I bring my rook there, which rook on the 7th is a very good thing to do, and it is good positional chess, but it also creates major threats against his queen and his king. And so he gets his queen out the way, and now I take. Now I think there's better moves here. I think if I would have checked him, maybe that would have been a better move, because then he has to move his king somewhere. He has to move his king. Or maybe if I would have checked him here, and then he would have to move his king here, and then I bring the rook down there. Maybe that would have been better, but this was plenty good enough. Take his pawn, and so he comes there, and that's a semi-logical move because maybe he wants to guard that square, although it would take me 2 moves to create an outpost there because I couldn't move him right away. But if I moved a pawn here, then I can move him there because the pawn would be guarding. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, oops, I'm jumping ahead here, sorry about that. Let's go back. Okay, pawn here, rook there, and now he checks me with the bishop, right? His bishop is under fire, so he has to do something, so checking is as good as any. And so I move my king out of the way, and now he moves his queen here, and I think I have several good moves here, but I did the simplest and I just took his pawn. And now I have 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, 4 pieces all bearing down on 1 square, and this does him no good because I just take the rook. So the game is pretty much over. So he comes there, and can you find the checkmating combination here? Pause the video. Pretty easy to see this. So the first move is there, and then he takes, and then I take him there, and then he has to take, and then it's checkmate, game over. So I wanted to show this game because I thought it was a very pretty game. It shows how just pure brutal force can really win games, but it also shows how a better position, and I want to go back, see if I can go back to one of the critical points in this game. I realize I'm moving fast here. This right here. So temporarily he's got 1 rook, 2 rooks, and 2 bishops, but I've only got 1 bishop. But he's not going to hold that bishop, right? But let's say he even could hold the bishop. Look at the position here. His king is out in the middle of nowhere. His pieces, his rooks here, are in the corner doing nothing, and his bishop is being blocked by his own pawn. So it just goes to show how a good position can compensate for being down a piece. So that's another reason why I wanted to show this game. I thought it was a good, instructive example of how to win a game with chess, even though you might be down material. And also, the reason why I wanted to show this game is because of this move right. I'll show you the move. This move right here. I knew that when my opponent played that the game was going to get kind of wild and interesting, and it certainly did. And so I really wanted to show that game, and so I hope you enjoyed this game. And again, this game was an example. Let me go to the end. Here's the end. This game was the Vienna Opening, and if you like this game, give it a nice thumbs up, and maybe I'll do some more chess videos. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video.